Okay, my outstanding friends, this is just another shocker du jour. I got this, well, I did a video on Uluru, and I'm told it's not pronounced that way. It's supposed to be Ularu, something like that. Whatever. They call it Ayers Rock, Uluru, whatever it is. And I said, it's a piece of a heart. It's even a tiny piece of a heart. It's a gigantic monolith. Red, bloody red monolith. And then I showed the heart in totality. Well, today, this is just less than 24 hours, I got this video, not a video, but a tip from a guy named Chase, and he said, look at October Revolution Island up in the Arctic. So, you know, I get a lot of things, look here, look there, look this way. And he said it's gushing blood. So I said, well, that's a good place to start. So I'm going to go up there and look. And I did, and another shocker du jour supreme. I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the island we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you some other places too. And when I make statements about things, I make statements based on material evidence. I'm not guessing. If you think it's a guess, good for you. I don't think it's a guess at all. I think it's absolutely 100% exactly as I will advertise it. All right, I have studied organic tissue fossilization, extremely exceptional preservation of soft tissues for 15 years. I understand this better than anybody else in the world. It's just a fact. I am going to show you this is almost undeniably a heart. And these are the valves and the tubes that come out the top of the heart. And I'm going to show you right out of here, anatomically, exactly what we see. And then we're going to analyze the tissue itself, because this has primarily been frozen for a very long time, or maybe forever, I don't know. But now we can see the actual blood vessels and so forth. We're going to get really up close. And I have some pictures of here that we're going to be looking at. Well, there's a heart, a Mudfossil heart. This is how well the stuff preserves. That's blood. It came right out of a rock. Phil Harris found this. This was on top of that. And this is all the little blood tubes. You see them, all the tubes? And it pops right off there, right at that line, because it's called iron banding. And there's a red and a black line right around the heart, right where the valves are. And it just pops right off. He hit it right here, and it popped off. And these are the tubes that run out the top. You very rarely find a heart intact with the tubes on the top. Usually they just look sort of roundish. I have one that does still have the tubes, and it's quartz. So that's kind of unusual. As a matter of fact, here it is right here. That's a quartz heart. That right there is the big tube coming out. That's the I forget, the ventricle. There's so much to this heart. They're all over the place. It's the big one here somewhere. But anyway, that's the ventricle wall, and there's some blood where the aorta comes up in there. And there's tubes coming all over the place. And that's where the fabric blows out like this, right there. This squishy looking stuff is all over hearts. You see this stuff? It's all over. It sort of covers up the veins and arteries and lets them sort of be able to jiggle around. And this is the superior vena cava. And coming up here, the red is the aorta. This is actually, you can see black inside here, because pulmonary is the blue. In mud fossils, it turns black. But this is all obviously quartz crystal primarily. And that's the heart, and that is the ventricle wall. And it's all now turned to quartz. Blood, you can almost find blood in every single rock, but that's a heart, and that's all that gooey stuff I'm talking about right here. See that globby looking stuff? It's all over. Same thing down here. All right, so let's look at the heart that we're going to be talking about now. Okay, get ready. Prepare yourself for a shocker. As I said, or will say right now, this was on top of this. And this is the plumbing of the heart, which I show all over the place here. And that plumbing sat on top of the heart, and the buckets of the heart were where the blood is. This is the way it looks. Well, this is a little bit confusing looking. Well, let's put it this way. Oh boy, this gets confusing for people. All right, I'm going to show you an example of this in a moment, but this is a regular human heart. This anchors the muscle. This is tendon, and it anchors the muscle into the heart so that it can pump. The rest of this stuff is just literally glued on here, and I'm not kidding you. Right here, it just pops right off. And this is what you end up with, is this structure down here. There's a line right across it, and there's iron banding, and they just pop. And these things, these hearts are everywhere, and the arteries, the valves are very, very, very obvious when you start looking around at things that have these valves. All right, now I'm going to show you Earth has one of these, and it's enormous. All right, let's just get familiar with the heart. You got all kinds of plumbing up at the top. Primarily there's 5 spots that we'll see in a minute. This blue is vein blood. It has a certain molecular polarity. The red is the artery blood, which has the oxygen and so forth, and it has a different polarity. They oppose each other. They push each other apart. It's called iron banding. It's opposition of the 2 different states of iron. When these things die and they're petrified, they normally just snap right off, and that just goes away. Usually you take them out of the ground and all you get is the bottom part or the top part. Now, a friend of mine, Phil Harris, unfortunately Phil passed away, but he went out and found this in minutes. And this was a complete rock. And it was just this, looked just like this everywhere. But he did see this. And that's all he could see. All the rest was just rock. So he gave it a whack, boom, and it cracked right on that line, because that is just a natural spot where they cleave, is right across there. So this was here. All right, so this bucket of blood he had was here. And there's the black and the red and the yellow. And then on the top was this. This was the piece that was on those buckets. Now listen to what you have here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 different tubes and plumbing spots above the buckets. All right, you with me? This was on top of this, which made a complete heart. And when it's separated, we could see up into the plumbing and see where all those tubes went to. There's no question it's a heart. And it still had very, very, very red, wet blood inside of it. So don't tell me there's no blood in rocks. They're everywhere. And this is the typical signature. You have the red, you have the black, you have the yellow. And that's what veins are. There's in a human body, it's blue for the pulmonary stuff, the artery stuff, and it's red for the fresh blood, the artery. But they still oppose each other and they snap apart. Now, I'm going to show you this. I mean, these hearts are everywhere, literally everywhere. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Live with it. Now, I am going to show you what a heart actually looks like. This is what the tissue around the heart is inside, and there would be all muscles running through this. This is how much blood it takes to run the heart. This isn't blood being pumped through your body. This is just blood made to work this muscle. That's what's in here. All of that is just a webbing of allowing blood to get into this muscle, because it has to do this 24 hours a day, or there's not going to be another day. So far, I think you've seen what a heart looks like, the iron banding, the plumbing on the top, the buckets on the bottom, the valves are here. Now we're going to look at these valves. So what we're going to go is look at the valves that are in the top of a heart, and this heart is on the Earth, and it's up by the Arctic. Okay, let's just cut to the chase. My claim is that this plumbing on the heart that I showed you that was just gushing red blood, this plumbing is the same as this plumbing right here, which is on Earth. Now, I showed Uluru, or Uluru, or Uluru, or Ayers Rock, however you want to call it, is a heart. And it's a little tiny piece of a heart, literally. These hearts were spectacularly enormous. When I show you this, I would expect you to be stunned. Now, I don't know if I showed you this yet, but there is, I believe, about 5 or 6 holes, plumbing that goes up. And you can see them. There's a bigger one, a lesser one, and so forth. Same thing here. The biggest one, it's virtually the same. Now, when I show you what is on Earth, it's biological, and blood vessels, you need a ton of them to run the muscle in a heart. This isn't pumping the blood. This is just making the heart be able to do what it does, to pump the blood. The blood runs through the chambers of the heart, which are not this. This is around the heart, in the muscle of the heart. Now, let's go on Google Earth and look at this, which is this. Virtually no difference. Now, I decided I will drag you through this with me. I just got this morning from a guy named Chase. He said, take a look at this, see what you think. Well, I can tell you what I think. I think that is the plumbing from a heart. These are valves. You see how circular that is? See how circular? Now, look at this part right here. You see that? That's all tubing. And what's coming out of that tubing is red blood. What's coming out of this tubing is black blood. What do mudfossils do? They create black and red blood, which is this. This is artery blood and vein blood. You see all these little blood vessels? Those are blood vessels. They're just now starting to thaw out. Apparently this has been frozen, I would imagine, for a very long time. Now, these are the borders of the valves. The valves are quite distinct and pretty round. You see that? That's just not some silly little thing that happened there, or some crater hit it. No. This is biology, and this is where it's running out. Look, this is where the red blood runs out. This is tissue. This is where all that, as I showed you, there's a lot of red blood has to get into the muscle. This is nothing more than muscle. There's nothing more than muscle under there. They're sarcomeres, and they provide, you can see the little squares if you take your time, take enough time. But sarcomeres are what make muscle pull and do this. But they require a ton of blood. You see? See, these are sarcomeres. And they're in layers. And they're all over. Your heart is just made of one big ball of sarcomeres. All right, and all of these are where, as I showed you, the blood is. It's exactly the same. Precisely the same. All right, and where is this? Look at this. It is all around here, and you got these big tubes running all over the place. And I think, well, you can see for yourself. These are, hold on, these are just blood vessels, basically, and you can see the red, and sometimes you're going to see the black, because anytime you have red blood, you're going to have black blood. You got arteries and veins. That's how blood works. You got oxygen and deoxygenated. These are valves from that heart, and this is all heart tissue. You see that? Now, I think this could well be the tendon area that latches the heart muscle, which is very erodes quickly. Muscle is not very strong. There's a lot of connective tissue here. It's not just muscle. You have to have connective tissue mixed in pretty heavy with this. But there's going to be a spot on a heart which will, well, I'll show you what it is exactly. The spot on that heart will be basically right there. You see that? That is a tendinous area, the same thing as this one here. You see that? That is this. And all the plumbing's gone, and we can see down into the valves, just like I'm showing you on Earth. This just happens to be Psyche. And it's got tubes coming out of it, and it's identical to this. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. And these things in the ancient texts were all spoken about. And don't forget, this is that. Look, I mean, it's just virtually undeniable. The roundness of everything is just staggeringly precise. Where the blood runs out, look, there's a big tube says, I'm going to run out here, run out here, run out here. The black blood, the red blood, the tissue, the blood vessels. I mean, it's, you know, have a heart surgeon look at this and say, no, that's not, no, that's just, you have pareidolia. Well, I want to look at this spot here, because there's going to be some tendinous attachment to the muscle, which is wrapped down below, I believe, or it might have been above. I have no idea, but it's no longer visible. Now, is this part of the heart? It may very well be, because there's a yellow part as well as all of these, which I showed you from Phil's heart. Hold on. There's this or that. There's some other, you know, there's a lot of plumbing going on up in there. There's a whole batch of plumbing going on. So, and I really don't understand it. I don't think anybody really does. Maybe a good heart surgeon. But look at what, this is complicated stuff going on up here. And it ends up going out this way and that way and this way and blah, 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 blah. And some of it is the vein blood, and some of it's artery blood. Infused with oxygen or not deoxygenated. Two different states. They oppose each other. It's iron banding. That's why you get hearts missing the top. And again, all Phil did was when he saw this thing, he saw that red spot. So he's looking at this. He can't see anything but that red spot. He gives it a whack. It opens up right on that line. Right on that line. And here it is. That's the plumbing. I don't think I have to go too much further with this. And I do understand all of where the blood flows through. This is all blood flowing through primarily at one time. And these are the vein valves where it pumps in and out. But there's a lot of blood had to be brought in to service the blood vessels. And I believe that's where this blood is from. And this whole thing would have serviced around, through here. And probably that's the tube right there, and then all of the blood. Well, here, let me show you. Oh, where did you go? Here you are. There's a big tube coming in, and then there's going to be other tubes coming out. Red blood just washes right out. If it's free to go, it goes. Black, different story, which is the vein blood. Black gets crusty and hard. This just is virtually never, I mean, it never gets hard. And I believe that's why it ran out from here and out through these areas here. And they say, he did say that there's red blood runs from everywhere around here. And I can see it. And the blood comes in, and then it works its way into the blood vessels. Well, now obviously there's no more blood coming in, so it's pretty much done. But that's, I believe this is what's going on here. That's where the blood originally enters. It starts going into the blood vessels and throughout the heart to service the muscle. I've looked at a lot of body tissue, and actual body tissue, and I have looked at a lot of body tissue on the earth, which is also body tissue. It's right there. That's blood. That would have been blood coming in at one time, and here it is right here, washing its way in to service the blood vessels. And that's why you see that these passageways were blood. These are valves. These are tubes that were leading throughout the valves of the heart. And then they squirt out their contents, like vena cava, whatever they are. One shoots up this way with the red, one shoots over that way with the black. All right, it's not hard to see this if you take your time and look at it carefully. It's quite obvious that's a tube. And it's leading back to a hub, which is right here. That hub services all of these different tubes, and they run, and that's exactly what happens in your body. Exactly same thing. And out it comes with blood here, which is the red blood. All right, and this is the plumbing at the top of the heart. It's not hard to see this. There's a ton of plumbing going on up here. You see it? This is one type of a shot looking at it. Now my heart is here. This is a crystal heart, glass, quartz. But this is right here. This is the superior vena cava, right there. And when it gets wet, you can see a little bit of blackness in there because that's the vein blood, very, very little. It's pretty much completely transitioned into quartz, but there's still some red, and that's from the aorta. You see the red coming up here? So you got your superior vena cava. You got your aorta, which shows a little bit of red. Then you got your ventricle wall, which runs down here. You got all of this gooey stuff. You see that gooey stuff running down? And that lets the heart do all this kind of stuff and protects the veins and arteries or whatever it does. I'm not exactly certain, but this is what it is. And here's some more of it right here. All right, now, it's just a heart, but it turned into quartz because of the conditions it was in. Some of them turned absolutely just exactly like a heart. Opal and the colors and everything. I mean, just spectacular. I've seen just stunning things, but that's pretty stunning too. You know, that's like the quartz, you know, Mitchell Hedges' skull, but that one there is flawless. This one here is just sort of turned to quartz. But there's a little bit of blood. Even in that gigantic diamond they've just found, there's blood in there. I saw it. There's a huge diamond. It was, I can't remember. I think it was from a heart, but it had blood. And it had the black and the red blood, but everything else was gone. And it was only where the little tips of the membranes were. You could see them. But very, very simple to see. And this is very simple to understand as well. It's a heart. And this plumbing doesn't go very far. It just cuts off because it pumps right into your lungs. And then it sort of shoots off here and there, but it doesn't go much further than this. And then they turn into wherever they turn into. But they almost like have an abrupt transition. Like here. You see that? That's an abrupt transition. And out pops the blood. That's an abrupt transition. Out pops the blood. These other ones are somewhere under the frozen Arctic. But I'm going with that's a heart. I see no other possibility here. To me, it's completely obvious. But, and again, these entrances are blood that services the tissue. This is not blood that is being pumped through. This is blood that services the enormous amount of blood vessels. They are just staggeringly enormous everywhere. And they have to be, because if you don't do this all day, 24 hours a day, the case ends up being closed. And this is all blood vessels coming in here. And that's where the blood was coming in. So this heart must have been pretty good size. You see where all this really is about how big the heart, maybe a little bigger than that, and down around something like this. Let's look at it one more time here. All that plumbing is right up here. So the heart isn't that much bigger than the plumbing. So we're looking at the plumbing. Let's look, see if we can find a better shot here. Hold on. Well, we're looking at the plumbing, and the heart's not much bigger, if it is much bigger at all. Well, here's a better shot. This is the buckets right here. That's your vein and your artery, blue and the red blood. Up here, it divides it out and sends it here or there, brings it in, shoots it out, da-da-da-da-da. Separates right there. So that's a little deeper, but I don't think it's much wider. So what we were just looking at is about the size of the heart. Maybe a little bigger than that. But goes down deep. I would think. either that or it was coming up this way and that all just eroded somewhere. One way or the other, I don't care how you look at it. These are the different plumbing from the heart, case closed in my opinion. You know, I showed you this before. This is where the valves are, and these are the valves in Psyche, which is an asteroid, and it has the tubes coming out of it. Has all the colors of the blood, and it has the tubes coming out of it. They're heading right now there with a rocket to investigate it. Here's what it looks like. These are the valves. That's the tendon. These are the colors of blood, the black, the yellow, and the red. I even showed you in Phil's heart. This is the different colors of blood here, in and out, the red and the black. That's a tube coming out of there. That's a tube coming out. That's a tube coming out or in. These are not craters primarily. Most of them are boiled out blood that just bubbled out and popped. How they got here in space, there was stories about battles in the heavens. That's all I can tell you. I'm not saying this or that about anything. But I'm telling you right now, that is a heart. And that is Psyche, and that sucker is monstrous. It's 177 miles from the wide spot here and 144 going this way. 177 miles. One heart. Think of the size of the creature that came from. And the ones here, that's pretty good size too. Let's go up and take a look how wide this would be. And this is bizarre. This is bizarre. I measured basically right around where the tendon would have locked in. And don't forget, we're just, as I said, we're not much bigger than this, not much bigger at all. And I went out to here. From here, 178 miles. The other one's 177. That's just too much. That blows my mind, because I know there can be little, they can be big, they can be halfway big. This one basically is the same size as Psyche. You see this? This is a heart. I'm telling you right now, there's almost no question. They're showing it in a melted condition where all the blood, metals in the blood turn into metals, because that's where metals come from. Primarily they're the transition metals that are in blood. Now, they said one of the most intriguing objects in the main asteroid belt, Psyche, a giant metal-rich asteroid, 3 times farther away from the sun than is Earth. So it's out quite a ways out. They're saying it measures 173 miles across and 144 miles long, right? And it is a heart. Now, they don't know what to think about it, but they do know that it's got a lot of metal. All right, and they're showing it as a big metal asteroid. How it got its name, yada, yada, yada. Well, I just showed you, I hope I showed you, Psyche is a heart. Not only is Psyche a heart, Bennu is a heart as well. They just went up and picked up a sample of it, brought it back. It's been here for 2 years, and they can't deal with the reality of the situation. Here is Bennu. They went up and they blew all the stuff away and went deep inside. They didn't realize that was going to happen. They went way down and grabbed something, and they pulled it back, and when they got to Earth, in this absolutely contamination-free, they found heart sarcomeres. That's the muscles in heart. They found membranes which separate the heart sarcomeres. Total surprise to them. They found bundles of muscle. None of this can be accounted for. And the bundles are all over the place. They're not just here. These are all bundles of muscle. And they brought it back, and they have the membrane, the sarcomeres, the pinchers, and the membranes. And it has all this exactly identical chemistry to a creature. the DNA, the RNA, the uracil, the amino acids, every organic material you can think of. And it is basically the same as Psyche. The top is ripped off, and you have this. Now follow this carefully. That's a valve, and I believe that allowed blood to come this direction, but not go back. You see how the center of the valve is here, the outside of the valve runs around here. So blood could come through this way, but if you went back against it, it would go loop and close up. This, I believe, also is a valve. This huge jobber right here, that's a valve as well. And when they blew all the stuff off, what they saw was red, yellow, and black blood. Here it is right here. This is basically the colors and the textures that they saw. This is not much, you know, it might be a little bit enhanced, but it's pretty accurate. This was the point of impact, a surprising surface revealed. They blew all this stuff off with nitrogen gas. They went way down in here. This is pretty deep. Grabbed a hold of a chunk of this stuff, ripped it out, came back to Earth with it. Now what do you see over here? You guys are mud fossil people. You see the black? It's totally separate from the red and the yellow. This is the way blood works. These are the oxygenation states of blood. They don't like each other. What happens is in the alveoli, I found that there's actually tubes. When your heart pumps, it wrings out the oxygen and turns it into usable oxygen for your body. I can actually show this. It's absolutely amazing. So don't forget, I'm saying Bennu is a heart, and we have all the pieces of the heart back here on Earth. It's identical. There is no difference whatsoever. This is from a heart attack victim. These are the sarcomeres. These are the phospholipid membranes. The little sarcomeres do that pinching. And here's what they came back from Bennu with. There it is right there. And Bennu looks exactly like a heart, and it's got the amino acids and all the different, that's complex chemistry. That is not just something that is, everything is complex chemistry, and now they're starting to understand it. Whether they will ever admit it, I don't know. I've been fighting this battle for years. I knew this long ago. Long ago. And I reported about Mars and all that stuff to all the people should have paid attention. Nobody did. They're still not paying attention. This here has been here for 2 years, and nobody will talk to me about it. I can't get not a single response from anybody about anything. And these are the people that we paid way over $1 billion to do this. It's been sitting here for 2 years, and they're claiming how they were really doing research on that. And I know they're getting more money to do that research. I'm sure of that. In my opinion, that's what's going on, and it's basically all about money. Not to respond to the things that I have been showing is really basically criminal. It's basically criminal. It's fiduciary failure. It's they're just not doing their jobs, these experts. And now I'm going to show, the next time I'm going to do this, I'm going to show what they think are clamshells. These things here that are way up on the mountains. And this came from West Virginia. And Angela sent this to me. And I can explain to you exactly what's going on. You see the real black? You see the real red? You see this twisted up like this, or actually this way? I can explain all this. They look at this and they say, oh, that's a clamshell. No, it's not a clamshell, not at all. They look like clamshells, if you don't understand what you're looking at. But this is how we transfer oxygen in blood. And I'm going to go over, I can go over all this stuff. I know it all now. I've seen it all. I literally have seen it all. From the biggest to the smallest, and literally every single body part, down to all of the unknown things. the layer, which is now they call it interstitium, the fluid-filled highway. I discovered that myself. Yes, I did. I discovered mud fossils. The light research, all of this stuff. And it's all being denied so that the people that have told you what you have to believe to be smart can stay with that status. It just doesn't work. It does not work. And this is muscle tissue. We paid for this as the American citizens. There are billions of dollars, at least way over $1 billion. And it's been here for 2 years. They admit everything I'm saying. Nobody challenges me, not a single challenge ever. And I just did one, or I will be doing one, about Yale, my confrontation with Yale, and my opinion on how they handled that. And I'm going to do a debate with the guy that I interacted with. He won't do it, so I'm going to do it like he was responding back, and I will confront his, because he called me a creationist and all this stuff, and at that point, all I was showing was mud fossils that some of them were giants, and that's when it went off the rails. So I think it's time for a response from these people that have been hiding out for 15 years, and I'm gonna lay it on the lines. Let's get some truth. If Trump is up for truth, let him speak up. I see he's taking everybody's jobs away. Why don't we have some truth in this country? And then academia will sort of have to blend into the general population. They have been the masters of everybody. And they say, you pay us and we'll give you a piece of paper that says you're smart. But only if you say what we tell you to say. That's not smartness. This is smartness. This is understanding and looking and thinking and knowing. It's called Gnosticism, Gnostic. And that was a way of thinking long ago. Call it religious if you want. I call it understanding and knowledge. And that when you find out all these things, it leads you back to that ancient text about these giant battles in the heavens and everything. What Velikovsky said every culture had on the face of the planet. And that's what preserved the mud fossils. I understand the preservation process. Everything has just fallen into my lap. You pay attention or go somewhere else, up to you. But that's the way things are, and I think it's time that we realize we are on nothing more than biology. That's nothing more than biology, and that's up at the Arctic. Here's the United States down here. And there's that heart. Now what's going on here? I looked at this, I really can't tell you. I got a feeling this might be the lung. Because anytime you have a heart, you're going to have a lung nearby. So, I mean, and there's going to be a big tube that goes into that lung and feeds blood through the lung, and it disseminates out. But it goes pretty far down here. I don't know. I really can't figure that one out for sure. But I do find some other things that are quite easy to understand. And I will be showing those. All right, thank you, my good friends.